On 9.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those of you still on the fence, welcome back to another episode of Derailed, courtesy of Arcaicskidz. I'm, of course, your handsome host, Arcaicskidz, and we have with us the beautiful, vivacious Stacie4Truth. Hi, Stacie.
Hello. We're just a bundle of humility today.
That's how I roll.
So why do you have to be sending people fried chicken?
Because it's funny. Because it's funny. Whatever. Like, I don't care. Stereotypes exist because they're funny.
I'm black and I don't like fried chicken.
Oh, well, I'm not black and I love fried chicken.
Oh, well. I don't know what you're talking about because I'm black. AOC said she's black. She's not. She's not white. She's black.
Of course she is.
She said that. Do you remember when she said that?
Yes, but if we can change our genders, why can't we just change our race? Whatever. Like, you know,
AOC
today
is black.
I'm Asian and you are going to do what I want.
AOC is black because she said so. Elizabeth Warren is Native American because she said so. It doesn't matter if it's 1/604th. Okay, they get to, one of their ancestors
at some point
was whatever they want to be.
Did you ever see the article that they wrote? It was Vox. They actually deleted it, but Vox wrote this article that they did with Elizabeth Warren, and they like called her out on like the whole genetic test, and she goes, well, all it really proves is that at some point one of my ancestors was raped, and I'm like, or it was a whore. Like, what are you talking about? We don't know. We don't know.
Right. Like, yeah.
Now, if you say that, people get upset.
Why?
I don't know, because they're a bunch of damn babies. Like I tweeted yesterday, like if I've ever said anything on the site that upset you, I want to apologize for the fact that you're a sissy.
Yeah, that was funny.
Because I don't care.
That was really funny. I liked it.
All right, Stacie.
But why do people?
Who are you and what are you about?
Why is that offensive? I don't know.
Because people are a bunch of pussies.
Like,
I don't know.
It's offensive that like one of your ancestors who like Native American ancestors. What if it was like a man?
Maybe he raped a whitey. I don't know. Wait, are you allowed to say that?
Maybe a whitey raped him.
Maybe.
Like,
but not like prison rape.
Maybe it was like consensual, like because what about Pocahontas? Pocahontas.
I'm gonna go with maybe homie was like, "Ooh, I like that white skin."
Right, or homegirl. Like, we don't know. Do we know? We don't know. We just know that it's 1 out of 600 and something.
They just make shit up so they can be victims.
Right.
Like, or you could always go the other route, which like, hey, suck it up and deal, you sissy. Like, I don't care. I hate these people.
Why does nobody want to be white? Like, why?
I have no problem being white because white is right. Oh,
you don't have white guilt?
No. I don't care. No.
Well, I mean, like, some of your ancestors' might have had friends who, like, owned slaves.
Yes, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Okay, I don't care.
You might be reincarnated from a slave holder.
That's true. And an asteroid could hit the planet tomorrow and kill everyone. Whatever. I also don't care about that.
I'm reincarnated from like Ruby Bridges. So that's why I'm black.
That's why you're black. Nice.
Right.
That's hilarious.
I don't know.
I love it. I don't care.
It's like you gotta be able to like be who you want to be, right? Like, so
that's how it works, right? That's the rule. Like, I just identify this certain kind of a way. So I'm essentially a non-racist pink dragon, and if you say otherwise, you're the bigot.
Puff the magic dragon.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. That's awesome. By the way, that song was about drugs.
The land of no shit.
Anyway,
I don't use drugs. I don't.
Well, I mean, I like booze.
I don't.
That's not a drug.
Illegal drugs.
That's regular.
Well,
that's regular.
It's a good thing that I didn't grow up in the 30s, 20s.
No, that's
30s.
fine because Jesus made that. So even Republicans are okay with it.
So then what was the deal with prohibition? Like, I would have totally been with the mob.
Yeah. Like, that's why I don't understand. Like, all these people that are like, oh, I'm pro-cop. I'm like, do you know how NASCAR started? Do you need me to explain it to you?
How did NASCAR start?
Jesus Christ. You know how NASCAR started.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know about.
It's from the people that they were running the booze during Prohibition. So they would soup up their cars.
What?
So they could run from cops. Yes.
No,
I swear to God, look it up. Look it up right now. You have a damn computer in front of you. Look it up. NASCAR started.
Earnhardt Jr. was running.
He wasn't. No, this was after NASCAR.
Hold on.
But NASCAR, the idea of NASCAR started because these people would soup up their cars so they could run from the 5-0 during Prohibition. That's literally why they're called stock cars.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Stock cars. Okay.
Yes.
Hold on.
Put in stock cars and Prohibition. I promise you will get the info that you are looking for, young one. How is it that I know more about this stuff than you and you're the lawyer?
I am older than you.
Actually. I know. That's what I'm saying. But apparently, mentally, I've aged.
No, I thought you were like 22 years old living in your mama's basement until yesterday. Until you. Okay, so Austin, I thought that you were like just another like crazy person, really. Like, yeah, until you were like we were arguing, right? We were arguing on the phone, and then you were like, yeah, it's like this case. It's like you started telling me about this case. And I was like, wait, you actually follow that case? And you're like, yeah, SCOTUS issued its decision like 4 days ago. And I'm like, whoa, like I just got schooled. Shit. So, yeah.
That's because I've been around for a minute.
Okay, listen, I'm still older than you. Like, I'm turning 40. Ooh. You're turning 39.
My wife is actually turning 40 this year. Don't tell her I told you that.
Your wife's age doesn't make you any smarter, mister.
It makes me smart enough that I married her. Just saying.
I don't know about all that, but this I really appreciate you telling me about this because I've been. Let's talk about this.
After you look up stock car racing so that you know that's how started NASCAR.
Blah, blah, blah. It says.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are you using Google?
Yes.
Use DuckDuckGo. What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh my gosh. I will do it later. I believe you. Fine. I believe you. About
you should because I'm usually right in these situations. Okay.
I will fact check.
Let's talk about the case
later. Let's talk about the case.
Talk about the case.
Yeah. So, background. You want to talk about everything leading up to this?
Sure. I mean, this is supposed to be on your channel, so we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But yes.
No. I want to talk about this with you.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. So my first understanding of this situation was that Donald Trump started blocking people on Twitter, and someone sued him. And was like, you can't because you're the president and because I'm supposed to have public access to my elected representative, which is a very good argument, in my opinion. And the court eventually said, yeah, you're right. And so they essentially had told the at that time president that you don't have the ability to block these people because it's a public platform, and this is where these people are able to interact with their public official. And so I guess they said you can't block them.
Because on a public forum, you are not allowed to restrict or repeal speech, I think is what they said. You can't have content-based regulations.
Right.
On a public forum. Okay, so go on.
So from my understanding was that this court had ruled that Trump basically had to unblock these people. But because of that, multiple lawsuits immediately followed to U.S. senators and representatives, congressional members that had blocked people too and said, hey, look, you're not allowed to block us because you have to, you're a government official, you're a federal government official. My understanding is that it got appealed somehow. I don't know exactly how all of that part of the legal system works because it's a fucking nightmare joke. But it made its way all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, from my understanding, argument was, okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, let me just say, okay, so Trump lost.
Right.
So he appealed. Right. He lost again. So he appealed. And then the petition for the writ of certiorari, which is like the piece of paper that your lawyers file that's like filed with SCOTUS that says, please take this case. SCOTUS was supposed to have a conference on this petition for a writ of certiorari to decide whether or not to take this case. And the conference was continued like 8 or 9 times.
Like from when he was president, right?
Yes. There would have been ample time for the Supreme Court to take the case, but they didn't. They continued it 8 or 9 times, and then they finally did accept the petition for the writ, accept the writ. They took the case, and then they ruled that it was moot.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it's, I forgot to add all the like, oh, we just keep advancing this thing or whatever, or like putting it off, kick the can down the road. But right. Yeah, so they basically came back and said, well, it's moot because he's not the president anymore. And so they're like, well, Trump lost. And I'm like, Trump didn't really lose because they didn't actually do anything. They were just like, right. Well, we don't really have to rule on this. But what interested me, and this is why I brought this to your attention, was because of Justice, wow, brain dead all of a sudden. Thomas, yeah. He jumped in there with some fiery shit where he was like, look, man, like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But this is the second time he's done that, because recently there was a case brought, I think Georgia. I'm not sure if it was Georgia, but it might have been Georgia, where they were suing over them violating their state constitution plus the U.S. federal constitution. And by the time it made it to the courts, and it was over the presidential election, whatever, blah, 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 whatever the case was, that was what the court said. Oh, well, this is moot because it's already done. And Justice Thomas then also said, what are we doing? Like, if we're not going to answer the question beforehand, we're not going to answer it after,
then why?
How are people supposed to get any idea of what is supposed to be, what we're supposed to do? And that's what it seemed like to me when I read Justice Thomas's dissent this time. That's what it seemed like to me. He was like, what are we doing? Like, we have these opportunities to give people some kind of a futuristic idea of how to maybe handle these situations. And they're just like, I'm telling you, the Supreme Court is basically just a bunch of cunts right now. Bunch of pussies. Just punt the ball right down the field like, I don't want to deal with it.
Well,
We'll just call it moot.
It's government.
I know that. But the Supreme Court used to take up controversial stuff.
Right.
And now if it's controversial, it seems to me like they're like, or no.
But they wouldn't take the DNC fraud lawsuit.
True.
Because nobody's supposed to know about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not allowed to talk about it either.
Well, I mean, you can talk about it here if you want. My channel gets taken down. I'll just build a new one. It's fine. I don't care.
No, I won't talk because I do want to talk about this. So the appellate court's decision was really interesting. Like, not the SCOTUS decision. Like Justice Thomas concurred. He said, yes, that's true. This case is moot. But, and then he went into all this other stuff. He said, you know, the Second Circuit held that the comment threads were a public forum. So yes, Twitter is a public forum.
Facebook.
And what was interesting to me about the Second Circuit's decision was that it really seemed like it was saying that not only do we have a right not to be arrested for speech, but we now, according to the Second Circuit, we have a right to be free from government censorship.
Yes.
That's how I read it. And so I thought, holy shit, like, this is so awesome. Trump is appealing, like, Trump lost. That's great. He can appeal, you know, it'll go to SCOTUS. He'll lose again. And then we'll have like SCOTUS precedent that says that we have the right to be free from government censorship.
Right.
Which would just like make everything beautiful, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
so
it would be better than what we have going on now.
So yeah, so that's why I was following this case, was because I read the Second Circuit's opinion and I was like, shit, like, all right,
like,
Trump
this could do something.
Trump, you got this. Like, just, you know, keep going, sue one more time, just lose one more time, and then everything in the world will be beautiful. But yeah, no, they had to continue the conference on the writ of certiorari 8 or 9 times because
they didn't want to handle it when he was in office, I think.
That's right. That's right. Because
they were afraid to actually take it up.
Right.
Bunch of cowards.
Right. Because you either, they would have to either rule in favor of Trump or say, yes, everybody has the right to be free from government censorship.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and that would have been,
those options were
either of them would have like made him look shitty.
Mm-hmm.
So they just pushed it off until they could be like, well, it's moot, doesn't really matter.
Right.
Which is why I liked what Clarence Thomas said. Mm-hmm. Because he was like, no, we should have taken this up. We should have had this conversation because these are their public forums. They're a matter of public record. And, you know, the game has changed. And what was it that he said? It's time for the legislation to catch up to technology or something along those lines. I don't remember what it was exactly. But I remember reading it, you know, because I know me and you talked about this yesterday, that it had been through the court, the Supreme Court, and you were not aware of that yet. And so I actually had to hunt it down in my files and send it to you.
Well, I was looking for, like you said, that Thomas dissented. And so I was
I thought he had dissented. I didn't realize it was concurrent. Blog.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, where's the fucking dissent? And that's why.
It's because when I read it, it seemed like a dissent.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't fucking know that shit.
I haven't read it yet, but I'm skimming it right now.
Okay. We're skimming it live here on Derailed, courtesy of Arcaicskidz. She is going to give us her absolute legal opinion on all of the things.
Skimming with Skids.
Skids. I like it. No, that's going to be a show name one time.
Respondents have a point, for example, that some aspects of Mr. Trump's account resemble a constitutionally protected public forum.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, like, I mean, when I read through that, I didn't read the entire case, but I read through the response, and I was like, this kind of seems to me like Clarence Thomas is like, hey, we got to do something with this nonsense.
But it seems rather odd to say that something is a government forum when a private company has unrestricted authority to do away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare situation. I don't even know how we deal with that, because it's like, all right, as a libertarian, I want less government, but I also want a government that actually answers to the people. A true libertarian government would answer to the people.
So a private company can also be a state actor.
Well, these people are.
Right, they are. So it can be both. Twitter and Facebook and like all these big tech companies are both. They can be private companies and they can be designated as state actors under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
Right.
I mean, basically, if there's a link between government and a private corporation, like if they're helping each other out, if they're
they're not really private at that point.
Connected.
I mean, they are, but they're not. Like, yeah, I get that.
Right. So they can be state actors, and they are state actors because, I mean,
and they need to be treated that way, in my opinion, which means that constitutionally they have to be treated no different than if I just went to the local county courthouse and got up on the steps and said, hey, listen to me. That's my right to do that. And these people need to be treated the same way.
Yeah. Convo Couch did a really good show on this where they showed Mark Zuckerberg and what's his name? Jack Dorsey. Yeah. Showed both of them like in communications with Congress where like
it's not. It's like that's what makes me nuts when the Libertarian Party will tweet out this dumb idea that, oh, well, they're a private company. I'm like, no, they're not.
Well, you know what? That's Charles Koch. The Koch brothers.
Like,
Koch brothers passed away, but Charles Koch is very.
David Koch passed away. Charles Koch is still alive.
See, I did underestimate you. I'm sorry, Austin.
No worries. Most people do, to their own detriment.
Yeah. But it's because you're funny. So I guess like people assume that like you're either funny.
Wait, old people can't be funny?
Not funny and smart. It's like against societal expectations. You have to pick one.
Okay. No, I don't. I can do what I want. I'm a libertarian.
But no, society wants to put you in a box and you have to like join a faction. Smart or funny. Pick one.
No.
Okay,
no. So I refuse.
The Anti-Defamation League is Charles Koch has a hand in that. And so like bullying is defamation.
Yeah.
And
shit, I'm out.
Trump said that we need to fight like hell for our democracy, and that was a crime because Trump killed people.
No, Trump didn't kill anyone.
What about that police officer?
That police officer died 2 days later from a stroke, and he was never hit with a fire extinguisher, and that's been proven. So these people lie.
But wait a minute. They said that
I don't care what they said. They lied.
During Trump's trial.
They lied.
Trump's trial. They said
they lied. They lied. Politicians lied.
They lied during a trial?
Yes.
Our government lied? Why would they do that?
I mean, You were a criminal defense attorney. I'm sure
Why
you
would
have never seen this before.
Why would they do that? God bless the USA.
Doesn't that make you crazy? Like when people are like, no. Like the statists baffle me, both right and left. You know what I mean? Like the bootlickers that are like, oh, thin blue line, or the statists that are like $15 minimum wage. I'm like, you people do not understand what is happening in the real world.
Yeah.
Like that's so baffling to me.
Well,
So back to this case. Back to this case, though. I wanted to get your opinion, which is why I brought it up to you yesterday. When apparently you thought I was like a 13-year-old boy living in his mom's basement.
Well, you were telling me that somebody was going to prison for like. You were telling me that someone was facing 20 years in prison for having a gun. And I was like, what? That's not true.
In Chicago. I actually was able to find that, and I can send it to you. I will send it to you when we're done here. I found the link to it. He is, and the only charge that he has is felony possession of a firearm. That's it. They don't say why. No. He's a 19-year-old kid. So I suppose they could say because it's maybe a handgun, and they'll be like, well, he wasn't 21 or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is what's happening. And people don't know that this is the kind of nonsense that's happening across the country. And they're like, oh, we need stricter gun laws. I'm like, why are we throwing people in jail?
Right.
For self-defense. I don't understand what's happening. Like, and I don't understand how anyone goes, well, and this is the thing that I always get the neocons with. They're like, well, they're just doing their job. And I'm like, yeah, so are the Nazis. What are you talking about?
Right.
You know what the difference is? The Nazis would have got murdered for not doing their job.
Did you
see that? Does quit.
Did you see that movie with the college kids who ran the jail?
No.
Like, it was like, I don't know what it was called. I'll think of it and then I'll tell you.
Right, but anyway, so what happened was we were actually arguing over this young man in I believe in Illinois is going to go to jail for a long time. Maybe not as much now because I did pull a couple of strings, and I think he might actually have a little more assistance coming his way that maybe we can get something going. But the point is that normally he would definitely go to jail. But somehow that twisted where I told you about this case that we've been discussing now.
Yeah.
And I guess then I became not a 10-year-old little boy.
Living in the basement. I thought you were 23, not 10. Okay.
Why would you think I'm 20? I don't even look 23. I have gray hair in my beard.
You don't have good lighting. I can't see your beard. Okay, it says, if part of the problem is private, concentrated control over online content and platforms available to the public, then part of the solution may be found in doctrines that limit the right of a private company to exclude. Our legal system and its British predecessor have long subjected certain businesses known as common carriers to special regulations, blah, 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 regulations. Okay, moving on. Second, governments have limited a company's right to exclude when that company is a public accommodation. Common carrier law, companies that hold themselves out to the public but do not carry freight, passengers, or communications. Okay.
Yeah, that's basically just saying that you're a common carrier, but you're not like moving anyone. You're just allowing an opportunity for people to congregate into one area.
So it's not either one of those two things. Internet platforms, of course, have their own First Amendment interests, but regulations that might affect speech are valid if they would have been permissible at the time of the founding. Oh. Blah, blah, blah.
You were supposed to read this before we did the show. You know that, right?
I'm sorry. It's Reed's fault because him and I were actually supposed to have our conversation on Tuesday, and I don't know what happened, but we did it today. Hold on. Da, 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 da. They carry information. Much like with the communications utility, this concentration gives some digital platforms enormous control over speech. No fucking shit. When a user does not already know exactly where to find something on the internet, and users rarely do, Google is the gatekeeper between that user and the speech of others 90% of the time. It can suppress content by de-indexing or downlisting a search result, or by steering users away from certain content by manually altering auto-complete results, which is what happened. That's what they did to Tulsi Gabbard.
Hmm?
All of Tulsi Gabbard's stuff. They altered the algorithm so that it didn't pop up. And
So she didn't show up at all.
That's also why, like, if you search for Hillary, the movie, which is, by the way, it's the documentary.
I know, it's down. I have it downloaded.
Citizens United case. I know you do.
I have it downloaded.
You do. And that's why you are no longer 23 years old.
Oh, that's why? Not because I was born in 1983?
No, that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, Austin, let's do shows. Like, let's do a lot of shows because you're following. Because that
makes me feel really shitty.
Hush. Okay. Don't be such a boy. So, because because you actually know about that. Like most lawyers don't know about that, right? Like, we read the Citizens United case. Yeah. Like, I'm reading this case right now. This is how law students read cases. And so I read the Citizens United case and I memorized the holding. And I thought that dark money in politics was the result of the Citizens United decision.
Right.
And then I found out.
Not even close.
Right. Because if you watch the movie, which, by the way, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that Hillary Clinton could not get the injunction that she requested, and that Hillary, the movie, the court was not going to stop it from being shown. So she must have just had her super PACs bribe people to remove it from everything.
Yeah, but what's crazy about that entire situation, right? Like, can we talk about that for just a second?
Sure.
Is that the Citizens United, this is one of the things that the left throws at people. Like, oh, this just allowed dark money. That's what they say, right? That's what they say. But can we be honest? That's not what the case was even about. She sued to have someone else's free speech cratered with that documentary, and the Supreme Court said, no, free speech is important. That's what happened there. Now, did it allow unknown money to come into politics? Sure, fine. You can make that argument.
No,
but it didn't really do that. It just said you're allowed to say what you want to say. You're allowed to do a documentary. You're allowed to talk about these things. That's all it really said. It didn't ever, the Supreme Court did not just say, hey, Jeff Bezos can drop $2 billion into whatever. That never happened. The left lies about that. And the right argues that, oh, well, but I mean, no, that never happened. How can we just talk about the fact that's not true? It was Hillary Clinton was trying to cover up truth.
We're not allowed to talk about that. We are not allowed to talk about that.
I'm going to talk about it because what it came down to is Hillary Clinton fucking lost, and she got put in a position where she was going to be shown for the dirty, evil, psychotic little cunt that she is. And she was mad, and the Supreme Court said, tough shit, deal with it.
The documentary does not prove that she was a little cunt shit. It does not prove that. time
No.
marker 30 minutes to 40 minutes, it does not say anything about
True.
Hillary Clinton's
Fair enough.
campaign fraud or either of the two people who went to prison for her. It doesn't talk about that.
No, fair
You're
enough.
lying.
I'm not lying. I didn't mean to lie. I'm just saying that she's a dirty, awful human that was like saying, I'm gonna try to block this thing from happening, and it didn't work out for her. And she got pissed, and the left got pissed about it.
Pull up the documentary. Pull it up, okay? It only takes you like 4 fucking hours to find it. That's all. Pull up the documentary and then watch from time marker 30 to time marker 40. It does not say that Aaron Tonkin and Peter Paul both went to prison for campaign fraud violations. They were not.
You're right.
They did
You're
not.
right.
They did not. They were not members of her super PAC. She was not communicating directly with either of them over the phone in order to plan the year 2000 gala. Hillary Clinton never had any dark money. There was no dark money. And Lou Wasserman, he did not donate millions of dollars to Bill Clinton. That never happened either. That's such a lie. Don't be a Q lizard.
Okay, well, I apologize. No, I don't. Fuck that. That woman is a psycho little bitch, and she belongs in prison, and she's never going to end up there because that's not the way our country works. And, you know, I'll argue with you if you want to talk about it, but they can come to my house, not your house, because you know that she's just the bestest, and I think she's the Wicked Witch of the West.
Also, Lou Wasserman, when he said, you know, to Connie Bruck, he said, don't get me talking about Bill Clinton. I'll sound like a lovesick puppy. Yeah, and there's not a room at the DNC that's called the Wasserman Room. That's like really ostentatious. That's such a lie.
Yeah, that never happened.
A lie.
It's almost like Hillary Clinton also never said, can't we just drone strike this guy when it came to Assange? She never said that.
Right, because I mean, like, you can even listen to her denying it, and she said, it would have been a joke if it had been said, but I don't recall saying that.
I don't recall saying it. There's fucking audio.
Obviously, if she doesn't recall saying it, then she never said it.
Well, then never
obviously.
Obviously.
I mean,
duh.
And if you believe otherwise, then you are a Q lizard, and you deserve to suffer a really torturous death.
What is a Q lizard? I don't know what this reference. You keep using it, but I don't know what that means.
A Q lizard. Here's what happened. This is a story. Okay, we'll get back to the case in a minute. So,
okay.
you know how, like, I've been researching tunnel stuff for a long time. Way before the Q lizards entered the scene. And so, like, I'm just really into tunnels. I like tunnels. I think they're interesting and cool. So anyway, there's this video on YouTube about the tunnels that go from the Capitol building to the two Senate buildings. And then also those have trams that go up to the Senate buildings. And then there's a tunnel that goes to one of the House Rep buildings that has a tram. And then there's a walking tunnel that goes from the Capitol building to the building where AOC's office is.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's another walking tunnel that goes from building where AOC's office is to the building where Katie, what's her name? Her friend Katie Porter, where Katie Porter's office is. And so, everybody was like, why was AOC running? Where did she run to? Right? And so I was like, I know, because like I know
she
where
ran
the
through
tunnels
the tunnels.
are. Right.
Yeah.
Like she took the walking tunnel from the Cannon building where her office is to the Longworth building where Katie Porter's office is. And then I was called like all of these like bad names, like
for understanding the fucking Washington Underground.
Yeah, for knowing about tunnels.
Like they do realize this is all real things, right?
And it's like public knowledge. Like these tunnels are not a secret.
Right.
It's like people know about these. It's not like anyway, so I was called a QAnon, and then somebody was like, what do you like believe that there are like lizards? Are you one of those lizard people?
Yes, they actually, you know where the portal is? It's under the Denver airport. Okay.
Yes.
And that's also where the Freemasons set up shop. That's 100%. So they everything's there. All you need to do is just go there to the Denver International Airport. You can see everything. The tunnels are underneath. That's where the lizards come up. Just so everyone knows.
What about Oak Ridge, Tennessee?
I mean, you got to have second phase. You got to have bakeries. Like I'm just saying.
Right.
I know these people. They know what's going on, and I don't want to like tell them they're wrong. I know.
Right. So so one of my friends privately sent me a message, and she was like, you're putting all of the members of Congress in danger talking about these tunnels, because nobody is supposed to know about these tunnels, and now they could be in danger because
everyone knows about these tunnels.
So anyway, so I was like, everyone was so mad at me for being like, no, she took the tunnel. Yeah. And then I shit you not, like less than 24 hours later, AOC tweets out her own tweet commenting on somebody else's map. And she said, your map is incorrect. It doesn't show da-da-da-da, and it does not show the tunnels. And so I like put her tweet in the conversation. So and I was like, you guys are bitching because like AOC is bitching because somebody else's picture did not correctly identify the tunnels. And
right, but Ted Cruz was trying to have her killed at the time. So
and the thing that I provided that was from the YouTube video, I said, this shows exactly where the tunnels are. AOC is bitching that somebody else got it wrong, and I'm a Q lizard because I got it right.
Again, we're back to Alex Jones needs 98.8% apology.
And yes,
he got a lot right. Ted
Cruz did try to kill AOC. That's why he had to flee to Mexico so that he wouldn't get arrested for attempted murder.
Yeah, and then he was apparently able to come back. So,
right.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the funniest things that's happened on Twitter since Trump got booted, was like, I would work with you except you try to have me killed. And I'm like, what?
That was like fucking hilarious. Seriously.
Like, I was like, oh my God, this woman's lost her shit. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why I tweeted what I tweeted today. Like, what's the difference between these people? Well, the government. That's the only difference, because they're all cult leaders.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Like AOC's following is kind of strange.
Not kind of. They're cultish. They are like, so straight up, I'll drink the Kool-Aid Queen. They call her Queen.
She runs through the tunnel to Katie Porter's office. Katie Porter is like sipping her coffee, and AOC's like, I'm gonna die, and I'm never gonna have children. And like
Katie Porter's like,
and Katie, and she's like, it's gonna be okay. There are enough snacks in here to last us a long time. You're gonna be okay. Right? Like, I have snacks, just like have a seat, relax.
Yeah. The funniest thing to me was that whole story that she told on Instagram. Like, are you familiar with Temple?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, he's like a giant YouTuber, right?
I keep hearing his name.
He's got multiple channels with over 1 million subs. He does a podcast live 2 hours a night, Monday through Friday. He's a big influencer, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
And normally, like, he'll be like, well, I don't really know. Like, we gotta, like, whatever. See how things go. You know what I mean? Kind of, he's that kind of guy. When AOC told that shit story on Instagram, within like 2 days, and this is the only time I've ever seen Tim Pool do this in like 10, 12 years of following him, where he was like, I will absolutely unequivocally say she is a fucking liar. She is lying. She can sue me because she's a liar. And he just went off. And it was basically like your stuff. Like, he knows how Washington, the whole system works because that's what he did. He was a reporter and whatever, And he was like, that bitch wasn't even in her fucking office, let alone was any of this shit even happening. And even if it was happening, why would you just leave your staff out there to get murdered by the mob? Like, why you hide in the bathroom?
Right. Hey,
so
do you have a way to screen share?
Because
I
don't know. Maybe. Probably. I don't know. Send it to the private chat in here, and then maybe I can share it.
Okay. Yeah, you figure out how to do it, and
well, if you can send something to the private chat inside of this, I can probably share it.
I have pictures that, like, I shit you not, Thomas Massey sent these to me on, what happened? Oh, he sent these to me on the 13th because I messaged him about John Sullivan stuff. And I said, look at this, watch this video and then read this Rolling Stone article. John Sullivan is not even a Trump supporter. And I sent it to my own congressman, who's a total douche. And by the way, I'm replacing him with my friend Kristen.
Good.
Seriously, like, I'm going to do it in 2024.
You libertarian? She's going to like put him down?
She's a Republican, but she's smart.
Nice. Well,
like, I mean, we agree on most things.
I'll take Republican or Democrat if they're at least like smart and freedom loving. I'm okay with it. Like, I don't care which party. Like, I'll teach you that you're wrong beforehand. You know what I mean?
Well, she's a Christian, and most Christians are Republicans. The Libertarian Party should really not be so mean to Christians. But then also, most Christians should realize that the violence in the name of protecting any organization or country is not something that Jesus would do.
Right.
So go ahead.
I was going to say that I'm glad you mentioned that because, like, the name of my show is Derailed, right? Because whatever it is that I always have in my head that we're going to talk about, that's never where.
Oh, that's great.
Like, we kind of just like run. Like, we're like, okay, well, we're going to like start here and then whatever happens, happens.
Right.
So earlier today, I had the hairy-chested libertarian on, Paul, who's a great guy, right? And we were talking, and we had actually talked on the phone prior to, and we were like, well, we're going to talk about the ATF director. We're going to talk about, Biden's new gun game, whatever. Like, that's what we're going to talk about. You know what we wound up talking about?
What?
Religion in the Libertarian Party, because he's a devout Christian, but he's also a hardcore libertarian. And so we got derailed, and that's what we started talking about. Like, Jesus wouldn't have been a socialist. Like, he would have been a libertarian. You know what I mean?
Well, we don't know what
we don't know that. We're
but
just
we
guessing
do know
based on scripture. We can look at it and go, well, that was way more libertarian than it was socialist.
We do know that he would have followed the non-aggression, that he did.
He did follow the
non-aggression principle, and that he would not have been an advocate for war in the name of religion or war at all.
Right.
So we
I don't
can't.
know if I can put these up on here.
So Christians cannot continue to use their religion to justify all of this imperialist crazy shit. There's one more.
Right, but that's not what he was trying to do. Like we were actually just talking about the fact that libertarians also need to stop telling Christians that they're stupid. Because a lot of libertarians are like, "Oh, I'm an atheist, and if you're a Christian, you're dumb."
Right, because among libertarians, it's like not cool to be a Christian. Well, you know, fuck that. Like, I am a Christian. I am a Christian.
Me
I
too.
think that most Christians are wrong when, you know, America should not be the world's police. Our country should not be trying to play God.
No, no.
Okay, so that's all 3 pictures.
Yeah, but I can't. I got to figure out how I can send them to like my email so I can put them up. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, you keep talking. We keep going. We can't play God.
Right, can't play God. Hold on a sec.
That's why I said put them in here in the chat. You could.
Where's your live stream? Where's this streaming to? Twitter?
YouTube.
It's live streaming to YouTube?
Yeah.
Can you send me a link?
Maybe.
We're both boomers. Listen, you are.
Yeah, you thought I was like 22, but whatever.
You're only a year younger than me, so you're kind of a boomer too. We're like, how do we share stuff on the screen?
The difference is that I know I'm a boomer.
I know I'm a boomer too. I'm terrible at this stuff. I'm terrible.
All right, here we go. I got it. I just never run my YouTube channel while I'm running this because it's bad to do that.
Right. If the analogy between common carriers and digital platforms is correct, then an answer may arise for dissatisfied platform users who would appreciate not being blocked. Laws that restrict the platform's right to exclude.
Nice.
When a platform's unilateral control is reduced, a government official's account begins to better resemble a government-controlled space.
I sent the link to YouTube through your Twitter feed.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's the live show, so you can pick it up on there. We have a bit of a delay from when we're talking. Pick it up on there.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird.
Yeah, it's creepy to watch yourself be live while you're live.
Yeah.
It's weird. I know. I agree with you. That's why I don't do it. That's why my YouTube's always like turned off when I'm streaming, because I don't want to do that shit. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like watching myself like at all. But
I don't care about that part. I actually don't. I never watch my wife watches my stuff back and then tells me what she thinks about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
The only one I've actually watched back, and I watched it back twice, was when I had Mark Schneider on, because we were talking about nuclear energy and the future of green energy in America. And I wanted, because he's going to come back on multiple times so that we can discuss it. So I wanted to kind of make sure I knew exactly what he said. You know what I mean?
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Even if digital platforms are not close enough to common carriers, legislatures might still be able to treat a digital platform like a place of public accommodation. Although definitions vary, a company ordinarily is a place of public accommodation if it provides lodging, food, entertainment, or other services to the public. So they're saying it is a public accommodation, which, I mean, if it's a public accommodation, It's a fucking public
Like
forum.
yeah.
It's a public forum.
Yeah.
Here, that's the Second Amendment, like the First Amendment.
First Amendment.
It's a public forum. It's no different than like a public sidewalk. Public
I
park.
don't understand the difference. It's a public park. That's what it is.
Some wacko.
You nailed it with that. It's a public park. I can be just a crazy person and go into the public park and go, Jesus is king and everything is here. And you know what? You can't stop me from saying that.
Right. Or you can say, I mean, you can bully people in a public park.
To a point.
I mean, like you can say mean words. You can say mean things to people in a public park, and the public park is not responsible for the words that you said.
Well, wasn't that the entire idea of Section 230 though? Was to make sure that they're not liable for me saying mean words to someone on the internet. They can't be held liable. That person would then have to like come after me personally, which is going to be almost impossible.
But why would we need legislation to say that?
No, I'm not saying that. That's not what I mean. I'm not saying they should have it or not. I'm saying
I know, I agree with you.
That was the point of it.
Right. That was the stated intention of Section 230. But I mean, let's face it, like you go into like, first of all, it's a public forum. It's not a fucking dry cleaner. Like you go into the dry cleaners, you say something mean to another customer. The dry cleaner is not going to be responsible for your mean words. Or the dry cleaner is not responsible for like any false statements that you made. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that was like the stated intention of Section 230, but I don't think
that's where it went. I just think that like, I understand that. So
because Section,
I mean, I don't know, like I like the fact that Clarence Thomas called them out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, this has got to be, we need to deal with this because this is a problem. You know what I mean?
Courts are split, however, about whether federal accommodations laws apply to anything other than physical locations. Courts are split.
Shocking.
Let's analyze this. Is a public forum really just a physical space, or can it be a virtual space as well? Austin, are we in a space right now, or?
I mean, I feel like you're in my space.
Okay. Once again, a doctrine such as public accommodation that reduces the power of a platform to unilaterally remove a government account might strengthen the argument that an account is truly government controlled. Whoa, let me read this again. A doctrine such as public accommodation that reduces the power of a platform to unilaterally remove a government account might strengthen the argument that an account is truly government controlled and creates a public forum. Whew, Justice Thomas. But no party has identified any public accommodation restriction that applies here. So there's no public accommodation restriction that applies here.
Right, but
why?
The dude is like, I mean, I get what he's kind of going for there. Like, honestly, I kind of understand it. It's like, hey, look, these people, they silenced a sitting president. I don't know that, and I think a lot of it comes down to Clarence Thomas is basically, I mean, he's as close to libertarian. He's more libertarian than a lot of libertarians, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
In the way he runs his thought process in his life. But I don't, I mean, I also don't, I'm not a fucking lawyer. I don't care about all that nonsense. It's all mumbo jumbo to me. I am going to have to be right back. So keep reading that case law because I don't have any choice in this matter. So you're going to talk to the you're going to talk to the crowd for a minute.
Okay.
And I'll be right back.
Okay. He left me all alone. All alone. Common carriers. None of this analysis means, however, that the First Amendment is irrelevant unless a legislature imposes common carrier or public accommodation restrictions. Only that the principal means for regulating digital platforms is through those methods. Some speech doctrines might still apply in limited circumstances, as this court has recognized in the past. For example, although a private entity is not ordinarily constrained by the First Amendment, it is if the government coerces or induces it to take action the government itself would not be permitted to do, such as censor expression of a lawful viewpoint. There's no viewpoint. There should not be restrictions on viewpoint. There should not be viewpoint regulations. Sorry, that I was thinking. The question facing the courts below involved only whether a government actor violated the First Amendment by blocking another Twitter user. That issue turns, at least to some degree, on ownership and the right to exclude. The Second Circuit feared that then President Trump cut off speech by using the features that Twitter made available to him. But if the aim is to ensure that speech is not smothered, then the more glaring concern must perforce to be the dominant digital platforms themselves. As Twitter made clear, the right to cut off speech lies most powerfully in the hands of private digital platforms. The extent to which that power matters for purposes of the First Amendment and the extent to which that power could lawfully be modified raise interesting and important questions. This petition, unfortunately, affords us no opportunity to confront them. So this case was dismissed on the ground that it was moot. And the Supreme Court of the United States made it moot because they continued the conference to consider the petition for a writ of certiorari 8 or 9 times. So if they would have just taken the case when it got to them, it wouldn't fucking be moot. And then we might today have SCOTUS precedent saying that there is a constitutional right to be free from government censorship. And if you live in the Second Circuit, you do. But if you don't live in the Second Circuit, the authority is not quite as good for you. Now, I don't know where the hell Austin went, and I don't know when he's coming back. Maybe he is doing number 2. I don't know. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. I don't know what's going on with Austin, but I am not very good at talking to myself, especially when I can't do screen share. So I'm gonna go. I love you all. Subscribe to my channel, please. It's called The Dissent, Stacie4Truth. Go on my Twitter page and then click on the little thing in my little thing and it'll take you to one of my shows. And so you can subscribe and make sure that you do, because I'm going to be dropping a whole bunch of truth, and I am going to be screen sharing and explaining a lot of the DNC's corruption. So please go there. Thanks. Bye.
Uh-oh, we lost her. Don't know why. Let me see if I can get her back. Hang on here. Just a second, guys. My apologies. I don't know what happened there. Give me 2 seconds and let me see if I can get her back. Gotta use the supercomputer here. Send her another invite and see if we can get her back here right quick. Lost her. I'm not really sure how we lost her, but we lost her. So we're gonna send her a thing and see what we can do here. I heard her, like she was talking to you guys, and then she's gone. I don't know why. So we'll see. Maybe you know, honestly, like her internet might have jumped out on her or something. Let me see if we can get her on the hang on here. That's fine, I guess. Apparently she left on purpose. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. I guess apparently she just decided that she was done. Anyway, all right. Well, so we were just talking about that that particular case or whatever. I agree with Stacie on this. Like, look, we gotta understand that these companies are not private companies. They are, you know, they're public. I mean, they do what they do, and I don't know. So anyway, all right. I guess we're done. So yeah, have a good one. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Peace.